Are you looking for the best gaming mouse? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best gaming mouse on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Razer Deathadder V3 Hyperspeed. The Deathadder has been Razer's flagship mouse for nearly 2 decades, and for good reason. From iteration to iteration, Deathadder's historically struck a balance between style, ergonomics, and performance, and the V3 Hyperspeed is the best version yet. Surprisingly, Razer went with a more nondescript look for this model. It has no RGB lighting and only sports a low-key Razer logo at the palm area. But I dig the sleek look, and it lets the rest of the mouse speak for itself. In my Deathadder V3 Hyperspeed review, it earned a 9 for several different reasons. The springy, responsive clicks of both the left and right mouse buttons are great for gaming. Its side buttons are properly shaped and positioned to make them easy to use in intense situations, and the 26K optical sensor is plenty accurate for precision aiming in the competitive scene. It also gets a number of small things right, such as the grippy smooth touch texture and slight contours that make it easy to whip around in frantic firefights. And the fact that it weighs in at a super light 55G means it's effortless to use day in and day out. The Deathadder V3 Hyperspeed is reasonably priced for a mouse of this caliber, although you do need to buy the hyper-polling dongle separately to access up to 8000 Hz polling rate. While I do think the Viper V3 Pro has the slight edge in terms of pure performance, the Deathadder V3 Hyperspeed is a better all-around mouse that'll be tough to beat for years to come. Number 2. Razer Viper V3 Pro. To get the most out of the Razer Viper V3 Pro, you have to be pretty serious about competitive shooters, which I can be, at times, without getting toxic. It shares a lot of similarities with the Deathadder V3 that I recommended above, but there are a few key differences that set it apart for those who want the absolute best performance, whether or not it be the determining factor in wins or losses. The Viper V3 Pro is capable of a polling rate up to 8000 Hz, meaning it sends inputs to your PC at a much faster rate than typical 1000 Hz mice. However, that difference is very hard to notice without the right scenario. It's much more noticeable at high resolutions and higher refresh rates/frame rates, since the increased input rate will actually translate on screen to smoother and snappier tracking. I could feel that difference when I gave the Viper V3 Pro a 9 in my review, and while I can't say it made me a better player, it was noticeable. Even if you are using this mouse at the standard 1000 Hz, which is plenty fast for competitive play, it does everything else right on top. The wider surface area of the mouse feet help it glide effortlessly on my mouse pad, and the springy clicks are very responsive for rapid fire. It's a symmetrical mouse, so it may not gel with right-handed players quite as well as the Deathadder V3, but the Viper V3's size, weight, and texture make it a fantastic fit for fast-paced shooters. The only annoying part about it is that you have to use the hyper-polling receiver to use the mouse wirelessly, and the receiver requires a USB cable for connectivity. This mouse was designed with competitive FPS games in mind, so if that's your priority, you won't mind this slight compromise at all. Number 3. Corsair Scimitar Elite. I tend to stick with normal-style mice regardless of the game I'm playing, but whenever I do try out a new multi-button mouse designed for MMORPGs or MOBAs, I always compare it to the Corsair Scimitar. And with the latest iteration in the Scimitar Elite, I've yet to find one that can top what Corsair seems to have perfected. It's a tricky thing to juggle, having upwards of 12 side buttons across your thumb while still being ergonomically sensible to use like a normal mouse is no easy feat still. I wasn't afraid of accidentally activating one of the side buttons because they have a necessary firmness to them, which is what makes the Scimitar Elite so good. Those side buttons also have a nice tactile surface to them. By alternating the texture type of each column of buttons, it's easy to distinguish which set of buttons you're touching, and in turn, pressing down. It's a simple and smart design, and I'd be hard-pressed to think of a way a new model or different brand can improve on what the Scimitar Elite already does. Granted, this is a heavy mouse given all the buttons and additional internals required to make it all work, but this isn't a mouse you'll be swiping frantically for lining up flick shots in a Counter-Strike match. Although we're here to focus on gaming, the 12 side buttons also come in handy in video production, photo editing, or data management, since you can map shortcuts to them. It's a pretty hyper-specific niche to fill, but after hands-on testing of the Corsair Scimitar Elite is an easy recommendation if you prefer this style of mouse and can benefit from its features in MMOs or MOBAs. Number 4. Asus ROG Keris 2 Ace. On paper, the Asus ROG Keris 2 Ace roughly shares the same weight as other lightweight branded counterparts, but the reason why I'd recommend it if you're prioritizing lightness specifically is because of its weight distribution. Even as I'm typing this, I'm switching between the Deathadder V3 Hyperspeed and the Keris 2 Ace to make sure that I'm not misremembering the time I reviewed these mice, and yes, Asus mouse has the slight edge in this regard. It contours specifically for right-handed use, which makes it fit gracefully into my hand, making both palm and claw grips comfortable. It wouldn't be a proper gaming mouse if it also didn't perform, and not only does it come with the Aimpoint Pro sensor with a whopping 42,000 dpi, it's also capable of a 8,000 Hz polling rate. As I mentioned when talking about the Viper V3 Pro, higher than 1000 Hz polling rate is only going to be beneficial, let alone noticeable, under specific circumstances, high refresh rate and frame rate at high resolutions. And with all those factors accounted for, I was noticing smoother mouse tracking, so not only are you getting the best in the lightweight category, it's also a pro-level mouse in terms of performance. In my ROG Keris 2 Ace review, I gave it an 8 due to a few shortcomings like the texture being a tad bit slick and clicks having a slight squish, but it excels in every other aspect. Number 5. Logitech G502X Lightspeed. If you want to go all in on an ergonomic mouse, well, you won't really find it in the realm of gaming. To that end, I'd point you to upright style mice or even a trackball mouse. However, you can still find something that's able to find a balance between performance and being easy on your hands. The Logitech G502's deep-set thumb grip and wide base help with stability, while also working nicely as a spot to comfortably rest your thumb, making the mouse feel like a natural extension of your hand. It also comes with 5 extra side buttons, as opposed to the typical 2 buttons on other mice, 3 that are reachable with your thumb and 2 that sit flush alongside the left click. This lets you map important additional actions to easy-to-reach buttons, whether it be for gaming or productivity. Don't expect to be whipping this thing around like you would a Razer Viper V3 Pro or HyperX Pulsefire Haste 2 Mini in competitive matches of Apex Legends or Valorant. It's just not designed to be the most nimble mouse, given its weight and wide base. However, it's outfitted with Logitech's Hero 25K sensor, so you're still getting accurate and responsive tracking in gaming. So long as you're not trying to line up flick shots or reliving the heyday of arena shooters, the G502 will perform admirably while also being one of the most comfortable mice